Lately I've been speaking a great deal about something which I think is really important and something when a person truly understands this, they'll take total and complete responsibility for their own life. And that has to do with spiritual energy. We often think about spirit, right and wrong and good and bad and positive and negative. But the truth of the matter is that spiritual energy has no polarity. It's just energy. It's pure. You understand? It's not based upon the opinion of God or the opinion in the cosmos. It's pure energy that enters the consciousness of each and every human being. And, and the problem is the consciousness of people. I mean, if people spend a great deal of time working on themselves and overcoming all the neurosis, the anxiety inside, the problems inside themselves, then this energy will manifest in their lives as something, very different than it ordinarily manifests. Because what we see and how energy manifests is exactly how we are inside ourselves. And our commitment to God, to higher energy, is to work inside ourselves to transform all the blocks and the tensions and the limitations so that this energy, when it flows through us, it can manifest as love, as compassion, as joy, as happiness, as a much higher level of living than ordinarily manifests in the lives of people. And this is a difficult thing for many people to swallow because it really means they have to change inside. They have to use some form of meditation, some form of inner work to transform all of the obstructions and all of the problems that exist inside into a clear channel of energy that allows the spirit to manifest. And I honestly believe that this is the commitment we all have to make to a spiritual life. That for this to happen and for us to work out our karma in the world, our responsibility is to truly change ourselves inside. Because how that energy manifests with our family, with our friends, with our acquaintances, at our jobs, is exactly the condition we are inside ourselves. So if that changes, I mean, honestly, the world around us changes because we perceive it differently. And this is not an easy thing to comprehend. We all like to think that everything is, kind of perfect in ourselves. But the truth is, the way it manifests in our lives and how we interact with other human beings is exactly what our condition is inside ourselves. And what do people want? They want to live in a world where there's joy, there's love, there's happy. There isn't all this insanity that goes on, the wars and the, poverty and starvation and all this other stuff that goes on in the world. But that can only change if people change inside themselves. And they throw trillions of dollars at all of this and it never does anything. It just gets worse. Every time I read in the media, $700 million, $1 trillion, $1 billion, it's like nickels and dimes were when I was a kid. And it doesn't do anything to change anything. It's simply because people refuse to change inside themselves. So they're going to fix what can't be fixed, which is Maya, illusion, the external world. Now, I can't imagine 8 billion people doing this, but we have, please try and sit still. We have a technique, a meditation practice, something that can truly change us inside. And if 8 billion other people don't do it, at least we do it. And we interact with our families that way, with our friends that way, at our jobs that way. You know, we listen to the world, we learn from the world. As I always say, life is the greatest teacher. But unless that change takes place inside, how do we learn from life? We're always at a point where we know better, and that's dangerous. Does anyone have a question they would like to ask?
Hi, Stuart. That was perfect. Thank you so much. I wanted to ask and share, like in regards to what you were saying, I'm feeling it's almost like a shell on one side of me is starting to come off, and I catch my inner thoughts, and it feels old. And I feel my present self not resonate with the old way of doing things. And then I hear the question in my head, okay, so what can we do instead? And so I hear the conversation inside, and I feel like, is this sort of what you're saying?
Well, look, I don't want to interrupt you, but stop trying to figure it out.
Okay.
Just let the higher energy flow through you and guide your life. Trust. Trust that there's a force in the universe much higher than what you can figure out in your brain, and let that energy work for you and
Okay.
see what happens. Don't have, well, should I do this? I'm losing the old, the new, bub. You'll make yourself crazy. Because frankly, as I've said a million times, there's no understanding any of this in the mind. It just works if we surrender deeply enough and we let it happen. So, trust that if you're changing inside and you can receive that, please try, everyone, try and sit still. If you can receive that higher force flowing through you, it's going to manifest in your life unless you interfere with it. And if you start thinking about it and you're going to interfere with the flow of that energy.
Okay.
So
Thank you. Yeah.
give that a chance. See if that works.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The best way to do that is you open your heart, you feel gratitude, you feel love inside yourself, and that energy will then work. Does anyone else have a question?
Hi, Stuart.
Yes, Larry.
So you're saying that as we grow inside, our perception of the external world shifts. Now, does that also affect how we perceive the world around us, like living in this time of craziness that we see outside? Does it have a greater impact beyond ourselves?
That's a very complicated question because the immediate world around you begins to change. You understand? But you and I and anyone here is not capable of changing Vladimir Putin. We're not capable of changing the madness that's going. You understand? These people also have to learn to change. And what makes them ultimately maybe learn to change is all these sanctions and this and that, and their fortunes being taken away from them. And maybe it'll allow them to begin to come to terms with their own humanity. But what I'm talking about is simply the immediate world around us, will change. I mean, there's nothing I can do to make it change in Ukraine. What can I do? I can I can have compassion for the people there. I can love them. I can send prayers out that all this insane fighting stops that's going on for no reason under the sun. But the immediate effect of Stuart cannot change that. But then you have this other stuff working, sanctions and bombs and guns and, to the point where people just say, it's enough already. Let's have a little peace in the world, So there's two levels working here. The immediate thing
It's 2
is
o'clock.
the changing of one's environment, the way one perceives the world. And then there's reincarnation. There's endless time for people to work out all this insanity that goes on in the world. And we're given that also, ultimately, for the soul to evolve, to come to a place where it recognizes the only answer on this planet is happiness, love, joy. So I don't know what to do about the Ukraine. I don't know what to do about people starving in the Sudan. I don't know what to do about that. I have compassion. I have love. I read about people fighting on the Temple Mount in Israel, in Jerusalem. I don't know what to do about that. This goes on all the time. I cannot remember a day in my life when this hasn't been going on. But I do know that I'm here to learn how to be a happy person, to open to God, to spirit. I'm to learn how to transform myself so I treat the people close to me with love and compassion. And the rest of it, I don't know. I don't know what to do about that. I mean, yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, I protested, Vietnam and this and that and all the stuff that used to go on. And I truly thought, that people would learn from World War II. They would learn from the Korean War, the Vietnam War, and the 1,000 little wars that took place between those other wars. But nobody ever learns. Because people don't really do inner work. They don't change inside themselves.
Thank you, Stuart.
And I mean, I don't want to present a negative image of the world. It's not the way I see life. I see life as something that is full of grace, full of love, full of happiness. And yet there's always all of this. I mean, it's like the title of my book, Madness Falling from the Sky. It never stops falling until individuals learn. They learn. And maybe this lifetime, maybe in 50 lifetimes down the road, they learn God is love. God is happiness. God is respect. God is deference to other people, listening to them. That's what changes the world. And it's not easy. It's painful to see all the nonsense that goes on. And it's all for nothing. What does it amount? They have this war, and then 6 months from now, 100,000 people are dead, and cities are blown to smithereens. And what is it? You look around and say, what's it for? Who benefits from all of this? Yeah, maybe people in the munitions business benefit from all of this insanity, you know? But does it stop? No, because people don't change. But you can change, I can change, we all can change. We can find a way of living in God's grace, in love. But that's the work that makes a spiritual life possible. And there's, oh God, I never meant to talk about this, but anyway, does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Stuart, I wanted to ask about self-healing. Say you have muscle aches or a sore throat or a cold coming on. Can you talk about self-healing energy work we can do on ourselves?
Yeah, I mean, certainly. I mean, look, uh, maybe this isn't the exact answer you're looking for, but people are really healed when they're happy people. You know, there was a wonderful book short story written by Tolstoy called The Death of Ivan Ilyich. And it was all about the healing of a man who had everything in the world and was completely miserable. And slowly it all began to get taken away from him until he came to the fact that it was just him and God. And suddenly there was joy in his heart, there was love in his heart, and he healed himself. You know, I used to do a lot of healing with people, and one of the things I learned is that what people wanted was not a spiritual life, they wanted another 10 years of living. You know, because I always used to tell people, you know, real healing, and I'll say it again, is to have a connection with God, to have a spiritual life, to be happy inside you. When you're happy inside yourself, you're healed. And you have illnesses, you can bring energy into those areas. I generally, you know, I often work with people doing healing by, you know, doing hands-on work with the chakra below the navel and drawing the pain and the discomfort into that chakra and transforming it into chi. You can do this for yourself. You can bring it into the heart chakra, transform it into love. That's also part of an extension of this meditation that I teach, learning how to do that. And the ultimate healing is to become a happy person. It's really a healed person, somebody that has love inside them, joy, happiness, you know? You become a child of God. You really have worked out your karma on the earth.
Thank you so much, Stuart.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have a question? And just to finish, you know, this teaching that I've been doing over the last few months is really changing a lot. I'm changing a lot. And it's going to a kind of depth that I always dreamed of getting to in my life. And I'm so grateful for it, and that all of you are here to participate in it, to receive it, and hopefully to allow it to work for you in your lives. You know, but it's just something that over the last month or so, it's just totally different kind of energy. Even the way I talk is becoming different, you know? So I'm very grateful to share all this with you. And I'm hoping that each and every person that comes to these classes can take this level of teaching and what's going on deep inside themselves and transform themselves. And then bring that to the people in their lives. Yeah, you know, that's not always easy, but loving somebody, turning the other cheek, as I say in the Bible, you know, forgive them, they know not what they do. You know, this has been, you know, we had Easter last weekend. I mean, this is all part of the healing. It's all part of the spiritual growth that can take place inside people. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay, if there are no more questions, there'll be a class on Thursday, same time. And I'm looking forward to, if you know people that are interested in coming to these classes, I'm really open to share this with new people. And so, don't be afraid of giving them my email address and letting them get in touch with me. So God bless you all. Thank you. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody on Thursday.
Thank you,
God
Stuart.
bless you too. Thank you, Stuart.